Why are parents always exhausted? Here's what nobody will tell you in the fitness industry.
In Australia, only around 22% of adults actually meet the physical guideline recommendations. And this statistic even worsens when it comes to parents. Studies have confirmed that parents are less likely to be active than those that are not parents. However, most of the advice we see online is for us to wake up earlier, be more disciplined and try harder. The problem with that though is it doesn't actually address the situations parents find themselves in. Not every parent has the ability to wake up early. Trying harder is an insult when you think about all the commitments that they are trying to do in nurturing and bringing up their child. I know for myself as a parent, waking up early is a struggle. And while some parents can do it, it is not a solution for most parents. So the solution should be something practical that most parents can implement. Here is what you'll walk away from my video today. Why the standard advice is actually impractical for your life, the reason you keep stopping and starting, and one of the shifts that you can use this week to actually improve your physical activity. As a parent and a coach, I understand the struggles that many parents will actually face in trying to keep their physical activity up. The problem is almost never the fact that they lack the effort or the motivation to actually start working out. It's the perceived barriers to actually starting and training, actually being able to get up and go to a gym, or where do I put the kids if I need to train. Those are the main issues that some parents will face. Most programs you see online, they're designed for people that have at least 10 hours spare during the week. They don't have to worry about any school runs. They don't have to worry about getting the kids ready in the morning. They don't have to worry about the inability to sleep at night. This is not the reality for most parents, and the program should be suitable for parents who are experiencing this. And this is even more problematic, especially if you're a single parent. If you've got at least the support of your partner, yes, you might be able to find the time to break away and actually go to a gym. But not everybody has that convenience available. Earlier, I alluded to a study by Bello, Reekins, and Rhodes. Now, in this study, they researched around 25 peer-reviewed research that confirms that there's actually a negative correlation between parenthood and physical activity. And the findings was really the fact that when parents become parents, there is a significant reduction in the amount of physical activity they undergo. And it's not because parents don't care. Rather, it's actually because the demands of parenthood become incompatible with the way fitness is actually structured and being sold online. And the idea that parents need to work harder and get fitter just by getting up and doing the hard yards like that, there's a mismatch between that, because it actually fails to understand that parents do not lack the motivation to train, but they don't have the right systems in place that match their lifestyle currently. But the thing is, because it's a system problem, means there is a solution. And look, many of the challenges you see online, such as the 12-week transformation from no six-packs to a six-pack, most of the time that's incompatible with the way parents' lifestyle are actually structured. It doesn't take into the fact that they have limited time. How are they going to squeeze in that hour session that's being promoted online into 20 minutes? This then leaves you to feel like you're the problem, you're the one to blame, because you couldn't actually complete the challenge and actually get the results that it was supposed to be giving. These are the 3 failures of the fitness industries for parents that are trying to actually stay and get fit. The first one, when you're told to wake up early at 5 a.m, I want you to think about it. You're already up at 5 a.m. with a toddler. How are you going to squeeze in an exercise during that time when we all know first thing in the morning, toddlers can be quite cranky right after a wake. Then you've got to rush them, get them fed give them their breakfast. And then if they're in daycare as well, getting them ready and prepared for that. These all add strains into the morning routine. And how you're going to squeeze in that hour session during the 5 a.m, it just doesn't work. In 2024, around 18% of adults actually cited that the lack of time and competing commitments was a barrier to physical activity. And the government data actually shows this, that time is one of the key barriers for many people aged between 18 to 64 in actually getting their physical activity. And the thing about this age range, 18 to 64, is that's the age range parents will mostly sit in. This means that the solution should be different and tailored for parents. The focus should be about how do we best utilize the time that is available, whether that be staggered exercises or actually a whole session. It needs to fit what that parent itself is facing in that moment. Here's another one of the failures of the fitness industry. We know as parents, and especially parents of new young kids, that there is sleep deprivation, and nobody ever talks about what that does to your ability to exercise. The next most critical barrier to moderate and vigorous exercise, especially in parents and new parents, is the fact of lack of sleep. Expecting mums and dads who've just had a newborn to be able to adhere to a really rigorous or moderate physical activity level in the program is almost impossible when you consider the lack of sleep that many of these parents will get. We understand the demands that a newborn has, and the constant feeding every few hours will have a huge detriment to your ability to regulate your sleep properly. Not having enough sleep only makes it worse for your ability to exercise and actually perform and get stronger. Asking a parent who's operating on 5 hours of broken sleep to follow a rigid program and nutritional plan, it just doesn't make sense. It's like asking someone to run a marathon who is in the wrong shoes. It just makes it more difficult. And this is one of the key things that I check with parents that I'm coaching, is to actually understand what their capacity to train is. If they have the energy for it, then I will by all means structure a more rigid program. But if their energy levels aren't at that point, then it's important to ensure that we actually work within that. And the third failure of the industry is actually related to identity and guilt. The fitness industry will tell you that you should make yourself a priority. But we spent years understanding that as we enter into parenthood, that our children should always come first. There is now a clash between these two values. And the important thing that needs to be addressed is how to reconcile that. And I don't think the fitness industry itself does that in telling you to prioritize yourself. There needs to be a balance between yourself and looking after your family and your kids. This guilt is especially more prevalent with mothers. Yes, it exists for fathers, but we also recognize that mums experience this guilt a lot more often. What I want to preface though is that you can actually look after yourself and look after your family at the same time. It just needs to be structured correctly. And another important mind frame shift is actually recognizing that if you look after yourself physically and look after your own health, you actually are being a better parent for your kids, because energized parents have more ability to look after their kids, and that shows also role modeling of good parenting for when they themselves get older and looking after their own health. And look, the research does show that one of the biggest motivating factors for parents, especially with young kids, is that role modeling that healthy behavior is one of the best motivating factors that they face in terms of getting back and getting into their fitness. And look, I know this from my own experience. Although I was training and everything before having kids, once having kids, that motivating factor to be strong and healthy for them increases tenfold. And it shows in when I go and play with my kids, I can actually see the difference in the energy level to ensure that I am able to keep up with the wild activity and energy levels that they have, but still keep up and play with them. And this is why when I build programs for my clients, I build it around their energy. I don't just build it about, do they want to get the aesthetics that they're after or just lose weight, but it's more about how they feel in the process. Do they feel more like themselves, more energized and more available in their everyday to-day life? So overall, there are two principles that I really want you to take away from this video. Look for those short incremental times that you're available to add in a quick session, whether that be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 minutes. Those short periods of time to get a bit of workout in will actually consistently beat those long sessions where you struggle to find the times. Because if you can consistently do short sessions, you will see progress. Where if you can only occasionally do long sessions, your consistency drops and you're just not going to get the results through those. And finally, it's progress over perfection. It kind of leads into the point I was mentioning before, but it's the fact that the parent who shows up, consistently at 60% 3 times a week versus the parent that will show up 100% once a month or even less, that consistency matters. So the key takeaways from this is that the system was already broken for parents in trying to get into fitness. The problem isn't you, it's the way it's structured around your parenting lifestyle. And the government data confirms this. Now, in understanding this, what I want you to take away and try to implement is find some consistent, even small amounts of time that you have available throughout a day, is actually then use that time to get some form of physical activity in. Whether that be you're making the bottle for the baby, or you're cooking dinner, or getting the kids ready for school, squeeze in 10 squats here and there. It doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be consistent. 2 minutes is still better than none. So whatever time you have available, make that work. You can block out some time if you have the ability to block out time to squeeze something in, do it at home.
Or like I said before, if you've only got those few little minutes, micro minutes, I guess you can call it, then just do something in those minutes, because that will all add up over time.